Oh, Beatrix, Beatrix, what has gone wrong now? No, it's alright, don't panic guys, nothing's happened. Now we've done the CV boot, I've changed that side as we did on camera with the new outer joint. I have, off camera, changed this side as well, so we have got a new outer joint and the correct rubber gaiter. So the first part of how to change a CV boot, where I used the universal boot, was kind of like pointless in some respects for me personally, but I hope it shows you how you use the tool to do that job and how you don't have to use the tool for that side. So both sides have been done, new outer joints, new correct boots, all nicely done, whacked up nice and true, new split pins, new everything. What I am going to do with the split ball joint cover on the top wishbone, considering that this side, the top joint up here, is actually it's the cover's not in great condition on this side either. What I'm going to do is change the dust covers, because I'm satisfied by the condition of the top two bushes that sit on this side up here and that ball joint on both sides. I'm happy that those wishbone arms do not need replacing. It's not a massive job. You do have to take out, you do have to release the spring and damper assembly and release that, and then you take these two bolts out that releases the wishbone arm. It's a bit more fiddly, but the truth is it's a fiddly job, but it's not a hard job. So I can do either job, but I am actually going to see if I can source some dust covers. I've measured the dust covers. There is no specific part that I can get off Rimmer Brothers or likewise from for Rover dealership parts. So what I'm going to do is order some ball joint gaiters off another car. I think a Ford Fiesta trap rod end dust cover will be the same size. I've done some measurements and I'm hoping they will fit. So I'll do that in another episode. But anyway, everything's going very well with Beatrix. She's running perfectly. There is no issues anywhere in terms of the cooling. The coolant level has not dropped a bit, but there is something about the cooling system that I'm going to have to correct when I take this car on a long distance drive to take it to some shows, because I would like to get this car out and about a little bit more as the summer goes on. Now on my channel I haven't really been going to a lot of shows in the last few weeks at least. The show season is fully underway, but this is usually fixing and tinkering, and I tend to concentrate number one priority on keeping my cars in good condition, and then we go to shows. And I cannot take this car to a show because of this one particular issue that I have spotted. If you have a look at the coolant bottle, can you see any problems? Yeah, this is not good. You see that? That is cracking, and that has got bigger. It was only, all this wasn't here before, it was probably just a few little minor cracks down here, and it is spreading along this seam here. There's none around the sides, none around that side either, but unfortunately we have got some cracks in the bottle. Now I've spotted that now, so I can't unsee it. Now chances are I could take this on the motorway to go to a car show and there'd be no problems, no issues whatsoever. But that, for me, now I've seen it, I don't want to be taking this car on a long distance journey until this bottle is changed. The truth is, I've never liked this bottle. Unfortunately, with the previous head gasket fault, where the bead had completely gone, as they always do, the elastomer beading, and then you get the oil and coolant mix. And when we replaced this pipe, in the old pipe we had some emulsified oil, hard, yeah, it was just nasty. And I do fear that in the pipe work there is still some oil residue going around. Now if you look at this coolant, it is actually not the worst, but it's nowhere near as pink as what it was when I put it in fresh. So we have got some sort of emulsified oil going around here. If I can just take this off to show you. And yes, Martin, you were 100% right. These stickers are rubbish. This was brand new a couple of months ago and they just curl up. Unbelievable. But as we can see here, we've still, look at this, we've still got oil sludge going through, and people say, oh, your head's gone again, you did it wrong. That's absolute rubbish. There's nothing wrong with this cooling system. It's not losing any coolant. If it was losing coolant, that would be a big problem, and that could mean either one or two things. The inlet gasket has failed, which on this I replaced it with a brand new one, so it hasn't, and the head, which is more likely. But this is evidence that the coolant, and I will say this, OAT coolant cleans. It cleans the system, right? So it's doing its job. It's cleaning all the coolant. I mean, if I put my finger right into here, yeah, it's just messy. It's messy, it's nasty. And this is what you're going to get. And we're getting a lot of it in the bottle still, which is where it would normally congregate. Now, what I'm going to do is two things. We are going to have another coolant flush. Now, it's been a few months since I got this car fully working on the road and running with the head on and fully functioning. And for me, that's been in there enough for me to say, let's take it out and flush it again. So we are literally going to do radiator, bottom hose off. We are going to do some flushing and back flushing. We will get as much of that stuff out as possible. But this time, instead of just using a flush and pure water, we will do a treatment. Now, I have never used this stuff before, radiator flush, but essentially you just put the whole of that bottle in the coolant expansion tank, or in the radiator if you've got an older car, and essentially it is going to clean all the sludge and any corrosion, sludge, anything like that, emulsified oil crap inside the hoses. It will get rid of it. Now, the idea is that you drive this car for half an hour and then you drain the system. The truth is, this is the K series, and I'm going to do it a bit more thoroughly than that, because if most people who've had a K series with the head that's been changed, you will still get remnants in the system, because this is still oil in the cooling system in little corners that hasn't quite been cleaned, because obviously tap water in flushing isn't quite enough. And this is where you need chemicals, because as I say, the OAT coolant has done its job. It cleans the system, and that's why the bottles can get dirty after a head gasket change, because there's still remnants in the system. This goes a step further. This is probably a more concentrated, cleaner additive than what's inside OAT coolant. So this is what I'm going to be doing over the next week. Now, today, I don't know when this video is going to go out, but basically today is a Sunday, and I am going to simply put this in to the tank. What I am going to do is I'm going to use my oil thingy over there to just pull some of this coolant out, because we're going to put the whole bottle in. I don't want it going too high because we need some expansion movement. And I'm literally going to drive it as I would normally drive it on a week's commute, to and from work, going to the shops, etc. I'm going to drive it normally. And this will be way more than half an hour's worth of driving, but probably like 2 hours driving in 1 week. I'm going to let that sit in this car for a whole week and 2 hours of driving, because it's a K series. I think it needs it. And I'm also going to replace the bottle. Obviously, I'm going to replace the bottle because of this cracking issue. So it's two jobs in one. The new bottle that I've got that's on its way comes with a new coolant sensor. Now, there's two types of bottles for 45. You've got the earlier bottle without the hole for the sensor, which would be pre-2004 Mark 1 models. The Mark 2 models use the ones with the hole at the bottom. I should put the parts number in the description for any of you who have this problem and you've got a Mark 2, because I believe they're less obtainable. But the bottle I've got has actually come with a new coolant sensor, the level sensor, so I'll have a spare, or I'll probably keep this the old sensor as a spare, but this bottle is going in the bin because it's useless. Right, so I'm just going to take a little bit out. I'm not going to take too much out, just pull the trigger. There we go. Just pull a bit out. That's it. That's enough. Lovely. Okay. Right, so now we can just pour this bottle straight in, and no doubt we're going to see the effects of this. This cracking is really bad. As I say, I'm so glad that I actually discovered this. And use the car key. Oh, there we go. Don't drink this. So I'm just going to pour gently into the system. It's colourless, water-like liquid. Okay, just keep pouring it in. There's quite a lot of liquid in there. I have hopefully left enough room for some expansion to be going on, because I don't want there to be little room, but I would say we're quite full. In fact, it's probably gone up a little bit more than what I wanted, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to be driving it that many miles. It's just to get things going. But it says it's an advanced formula that cleans the system quickly and effectively, clears blocked water channels that can cause overheating, removing rust and sludge. Used before changing or adding coolant to help keep your cooling system in optimum operational condition. That's interesting. So it actually recommends that you can actually add this to coolant when you actually change the coolant. So this isn't a simple case of, oh, this stuff, it cannot be left in your car for long periods of time. It can be. It can be used as an extra cleaner to OET antifreeze. I've got to be honest with you, as I've said before, OAT coolant, it tends to be a very, very good cleaner itself. You don't need additional stuff like this. But if you've got a K series or an engine that, quite frankly, it furs up quite badly, this is one thing I would probably recommend. But I wouldn't put the whole bottle in. I'd probably put probably a half the bottle or a quarter of the bottle, because that is now going to be quite strong. And the idea is now that this car is going to be run with this in the system. So just put this back on, and that is that. Right, I'm going to leave this here, and you are going to join Andrew in a week's time. Right, 5 days later and approximately 55 miles, which has been a combination of 60 mile, 50 mile, 40 mile an hour driving and a bit of town driving to chuck in, and the car has got to temperature quite a few times this week on daily commuting. So now we are in a position where the flush has been through the car for at least a good few hot, long journeys, and now we are ready to flush everything out. I am at this moment in time awaiting the new tank, which was supposed to arrive today, but still I'm just going to chuck everything out and try and give it as big a flush as possible. I will say it will not be as far as a flush I did in the first place, because naturally a lot of the pipe work I just don't want to disturb around the back of the engine where the thermostat is. I will simply be dropping the bottom radiator hose and trying to get a hose in to give it a bit of a flush in and out, and obviously disturbing the bottle. So there's going to be some coolant mess, but anyway, this is usually fixing and tinkering, and officially my hay fever has just started to kick in. So I want to get this job done and be very direct and straight with this video. So let's get cracking. Right, to start off, it's a relatively simple exercise. 2 10mm bolts, and then we release the tank from its mounting. We are going to, let's say, I'm actually quite impressed. The colour actually hasn't changed that much at all, but I actually put my finger in the tank the other day and there is still a lot of sludge, and usually oil, as it is, will rise to the surface, and naturally that's why your expansion bottle is the most disgusting part of the cooling system in many respects. I'd rather it be in the tank than stuck in the radiator, which is why I've done the flush. But I've now got to try and get down there at that Jubilee clip. If you can see it, there we go, there's the bugger right down there where my finger is. So I'm going to get that from the underside. It's only a flathead screwdriver that's required. I don't really want to be disturbing of what's down there. I really don't want to be faffing around with it, so I'm literally just going to bat flush it through there, take this top clamp off as well and flush it through there. Oh, I need to get my spring clips, actually. I forgot these. I know these are the originals, not the Jubilee ones that were originally, well, fitted when I bought the car. Anyway, let's get cracking. think I've done this a million times already. The bolts up here, and then just wiggle this up. We've got this little prong that goes in that little piece there, and I'm just going to show you this. This is typical. This, I can feel it with my fingers. That is going to crack. I've seen them where they go like this before, and there's just a massive crack all around here, but that is bad. You see, we've got oil under there. It's gone everywhere. I mean, literally, like, there's just tons of it. I've got to disconnect that. I've got to take that off as well. But we're going to drain the stuff before, but that looks pretty disgusting. That is not pink fluid anymore. I'm really happy I'm doing this job. So we're going to leave that as it is now. You take the cap off because we need gravity in the cooling system. Yeah, that looks typically like before, but as I say, the flush would have done something. Then put that back on, Andrew. Right, now for this demonstration I'm not actually wearing gloves because I forgot my gloves. I've left the gloves at the garage and I can't be bothered to walk down the road to get them. So bad on me for my hands. God knows how many chemicals have gone into my skin. But yeah, now I'm going to take that out on camera because I'm not being funny with the sort of level that we're talking about with Rover 45. It would be ideal to jack one side up, but because I'm quite a thin guy, I can get away with it, but you guys won't. So now, I did forget to mention that I've got to take this plastic undershield off that actually kind of stops me getting to that bottom hose. What an absolute faff. I'm going to have to take a few of the bolts out, and I'm going to have to take that clip out that is in there and drop the whole thing. That is a bit of a pain. I was hoping not to do this, but oh gosh. In typical fashion, we have to do things the hard way. I hate undershields. They just don't make life any easy. Really just make things really hard. They do this deliberately, don't they? That came up rather well, that did actually. Right, those bolts are out. Now take the two side ones out, we can drop the whole thing. If you're like me and you can't be bothered to jack up the car, just turn the steering wheel and just get in here, and I don't know if you can see where my finger is. That's where the clip is. Yeah, thank you very much, camera. That's your clip. Just pry it out. In fact, there we go, and the whole thing should drop. There you go. Now I don't think, I've just taken this side off. I don't know if it's dropped. Yeah, it has. It's dropped enough. I think I can get a screwdriver up there potentially. I might have to take the whole thing off though. Since I've done most of it, I might as well just do the other side. So turn the steering back round and then take that clip out on that side and then drop the whole thing. Ah, what a faff. Should. There we go. Now it's almost all down. Fantastic. Now, of course, forgetting, there we go, that little sneaky clip that goes on the side of this tow hook bar, well, the towing eye, I should say. Now I'm going to drop it on that side because that's the side I need to get to. Done. Front bumper. This is one big piece. And I tell you what, this was covered in oil when I bought it on this side. Splash shield, as it's called. No, it's an under tray. It's just has no purpose other than to cause, well, cost me time basically. Anyway. Now, I would use this opportunity, since the undershield is removed, just to inspect all the areas that could possibly leak. The gearbox is nice and dry. Engine sump looks really nice and dry. It looks great under here, and you've got a lot of the associated automatic gearbox pipes above me. They look good. They look really good, those hoses, and they go straight into the front of the gearbox. But the hose we need is, oh god, somewhere up here. I can't be bothered to aim the camera. Is the hose I need. So I'll catch back in when I've actually got, where's my screwdriver gone? That's not my screwdriver. By feel, I've actually found it. I can't actually physically get under the car. Oh, there we go. Right, I've slackened it. Just got to keep on. Oh, great. The screwdriver's slipped. Well done, Andrew. Oh, come on. Oh, I do love being in these sort of positions. Oh, let me neck. This is how I'm not how to find a hose by using your fingers, because I can't actually put my head around this corner. It is actually such a low car. I can't even do this. I can do this on my Mark 1. Mark 1s sit high enough for me to be able to get underneath with standard suspension. This is why I'm not a fan of coilovers or lowering springs, because working on your car is just ridiculously difficult. Slip that underneath, and I've now got it I've now got the clip so loose that I could potentially slide the hose off. He thinks that's the bugger down there, and it has actually gone slack, so I might just be able to do this. No, maybe not. My hand's not thin enough, actually. In fact, I'd recommend, if you're putting your hand down there, please take this wiring out the way, because you're going to damage this wiring 100%. Just put it over there, and then put your hand down again. There you go. I can actually get down here with a bit more. Yeah, that is slack now. So, oh, that's actually loose. So now I can actually try and pull this hose. Remember when I did it first time, guys, all those many months ago? Well, I did a drain day. Oh, now, what's the colour going to be this time round? Oh, yes. A bit of overspillage. And the hose clamper has typically gone down there as well. Lovely. Yeah, most of my housemates would see this and think, your car broken again. No, it's not broken, it's been fixed. Two different things. Now, while the car is draining out, I mean, most of the time I'm working on Beatrix, and let's face it, I've been working on this car consistently for the last 7-8 months, and I am very well. You know how much it's cost me up until when the how much it cost me video came out a few weeks ago, at least. No, it's cost me a bit more money, but the truth is, this isn't like I'm trying to spend money for the sake of spending money. This is long-term work. You know, I've spotted an issue that hasn't gone, but it will go, and a lot of people would look at that and think, nah, just leave it till it goes. Oh yeah, you really want a K-series coolant bottle going, you're losing all your coolant, and then you're giving the K-series an excuse to blow another head gasket. You don't want to be doing that, especially on a Rover. You want to spot problems with the cooling system head on and get them sorted. And the reaction I get from people is definitely one of, why don't you just get a newer car? You spend most of the time fixing this. I don't know why you spend so much time on such an old basket case. And people haven't necessarily said it to my face, but nevertheless, most people are quite polite about it. But I can tell that that's exactly what they're thinking. They don't get what I do, and they don't understand what car enthusiasts do on a day-to-day basis. They just think, why don't you just take it to a garage? Let a garage do it. I actually got asked that question a few times, and I'm thinking, why would I take it to a garage when I can fix it myself? That's been my answer to 4 different people, and they will look at me going, I see your point. It's like people don't actually think outside that box, that you can work on your own car, you know, it's not illegal, you're not voiding any insurance. I think is that exactly where we've got when it comes to messing with cars? You know, simple things like changing the spark plugs, conducting a service. When do you see people doing what I'm doing today? Very rarely will I walk on the street and see someone working on their car, and it is certainly nowhere near anyone near my age group. Okay, got my clever little tool and my clamp, and then as soon as I start clamping it, if I took the handbrake off, there we go, that's a lot. And then what you do is you simply put the handbrake on, which is that, and then you can gently shuffle it along. Now what sometimes can happen is that can jump off, so it could go anywhere at the moment, but I wouldn't recommend using this. Just shuffle it along as best as you can. If this opens up, my fingers are going to get, there we go, done. And then you can just pop the handbrake off. If I do that, is it going to do it on camera? Come on. No, doesn't want to play ball with me, but basically you take the handbrake off that way. I need two hands with that, but we can actually move this hose off, and there is literally no water left in it. I thought there might have been residual stuff left in there, but it turns out the water has actually gone from this level, which is why it's so important to open the tank. Yeah, we can see what we need to see in that. I am now going to disconnect that tank. Take the expansion. Oh, excuse me. Apart from not getting that hose off, just had a sneezing fit. Oh, Jesus, hay fever. Ugh. I can't really enjoy plants as much as I would like to, but I would like to. I love flowers, but it makes me feel very ill at certain times of the summer. Excuse me. Now, if I just do this, I will argue that to get this off, you may need a pick just to break the bond very gently, because you do not want to be breaking this, because this is like one pipe assembly. You've got the overflow that goes sort of in there into the inlet expansion where you got that ball bearing inside there. You've got to hear that ball bearing rattle. Some people take them out, each to their own. I kept mine in. I cleaned it out, so there shouldn't be any issues. And then you've got the rest of this expansion that goes here. Now this part of the expansion, this bit to here, does not exist apart from, I suspect, the automatic models. The manual models do not get this in piece. This hose is one piece. So I don't know, that's the only variation that I've spotted, but this expansion does not exist on the manual models. So they clearly thought that they needed this extra expansion vessel from the elbow there. And if we do this, yeah, just trying to get all of it out. It's just getting the coolant to flow all the way out the back of the engine, that way and down. Anyway, now we can take a couple of things off, including, oh, there's still more. Come on. Right, I'll try and feed it down once I've got the bottle off. For some reason the brake reservoir seems to have wanted to disconnect itself. Anyway, the coolant level sensor, if you have a Mark II, disconnect. And we'll take that off as well. Out we come. Still a bit of coolant around it. Wow, off we come. In terms of cracking, I'll just show you this. You can see it just as clearly here. Goodness me, that is an awful lot of oil. This was not here before. This was not here a few months ago. And the level sensor, I believe, I think it just pulls out. I'm assuming it just pulls out. I don't want to break this on camera. So, oh, there we go. It literally just snaps into this little hole here. So it just literally pops in like that. And then you get two fingers and then give it a bit of a wiggle. Apologies for the camera. So, 2 fingers, give it a bit of a wiggle. Don't, I wouldn't do that. There we go. I've done it one-handed. There you go. Now, sometimes these can go a little bit wrong. The truth is, I'll just give it a bit of a clean up on the sensor bit, but the truth is, it works like a float. An old-fashioned, I thought it was actually a ball and float, which is why it was getting stuck, but it actually isn't. It is literally just a sensor. So I presume that liquid going over this changes the resistance of what comes out here signal wise. So it has to feel fluid for this to actually work at presumably a lower resistance. I can't remember which one. It's either high or a low resistance, and that throws the light on the dashboard. But you see where it goes in. I mean, where it sits like that, it's going to have to be about there. The level has to drop quite a long way for that to not receive a signal. So yeah, that's quite interesting. I'm presuming that's exactly how that works, and we're going to just put that on the side ready for the new bottle. What I would do is take advantage and just pull this up. Yeah, I'm just going to pull this up in more. Let gravity do its work. There you go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some water down here, and we are going to hopefully get a flow of water going all the way out. Before I get my hose out, I just want to inspect what has actually gone in here. Some people would say that's actually not too bad, and I would actually tend to agree with them, but I can see a rainbow in here. This could be what's being left in the drain pan, it might not be, but I'm just going to pop that back. Well, actually, no, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flush it out without this underneath, and it's just going to go everywhere. I need to clean the driveway anyway, so leave that there. I'll get the hose. Right, I've got a very keen hose. Now, I'm just going to try and flood this as best as I can. It might go everywhere. There we go. It's not really the right size for the hose, but it's certainly getting water out. And you just got to run it until you get clean water, which I'm constantly looking at the moment. Next is this hose. See if we can get some water into there. There we go, and it's coming straight back. There you go. Lovely. That means that pipe is very, very clear indeed. Now all I would do is put some into the top radiator, the top part of the radiator elbow. If I can control this for a start. There we go. Oh my goodness me. I need to show you this. If I just increase this, go. Yeah, it's still coming out really pinkish. It was coming out really red just now. That's pretty clear. But all that excess coolant was in there. I'd say there was a lot of pink coming out. There's still like a lot hanging around. Ideally you don't want it going on the driveway, but at the end of the day it's coolant. As long as you catch the majority of it and dispose of it, that's fine, because it's not very good to your cats, I can tell you. In fact, it really isn't good to wildlife whatsoever. I think we'll just do a thorough back flush. I may actually stick it in that way and force it up. The good way of doing this, if you're concerned that your radiator, and back in the olden days when radiators used to get clogged quite easily by the old blue coolant, the IAT coolant, it'd be recommendation if you feel your radiator wasn't up to scratch, and a lot of cars had cooling systems that were not quite up to scratch. They were kind of marginal, so as soon as there was any sort of issue or blockage, your car would overheat. Old cars are not good for that sort of thing, so it was good practice in them days and easier to take your radiator out and give it a bit of a swash and a bit of a back flush. So you sort of slosh it side to side with a hose, stick it in there, sort of do a bit of a slosh, and it gets rid of all the stuff both ways. So I might actually come to that, but this is looking very clean now. Goodness me, it always makes a watery mess everywhere, but it is just water, and it has been thoroughly back flushed out the system. I'm just going to wait for it to dry up a little bit more while I clear my equipment away, which is usable whenever you work on a car and things are a bit messy and you're waiting for things to dry up or whatever. I would always advise clear your equipment away, do a bit of sorting out, because then by the time you've finished, things are dried up a bit more. Just use your time wisely. I am still awaiting a coolant tank as this episode is going on, so I am in no rush this evening to actually do this. Typical Royal Mail, they say they're going to deliver by 7 and they do not. Oh well. Now, some of you may have noticed that that is probably about 2.5 litres. Well, as most people know, the coolant capacity of a Rover 45 is double that. So where's the rest of it? Well, I'll tell you where the rest of it is. Because obviously the thermostat is shut, a lot of the coolant within the engine block and the heater is stuck in there, and I haven't actually disturbed that part of the system. All I've been pushing out is basically this side of the system, the actual system that isn't basically flowing when the thermostat is shut. So my suggestion is you have to take off this pipe here, which just connects onto the thermostat housing. Okay, I've got to get the coolant, the Jubilee clip, because that's fallen into my pot at the bottom. But I have literally back flushed through there just for a few minutes, and it came out of the thermostat. And if you get the pressure high enough, it will come out through this bit. So it will go all the way through the block, the liners itself, come out this way and go everywhere. So that is my top tip. What I would advise before you do that is don't do the mistake I made. It kind of went everywhere over the alternator. Put this back on and then do what I've just done. And literally we've just managed to remove quite a bit more coolant. Just pull this yeah, well, most of this is well, it is coolant, but it's also water as well. So I've got to find a way of disposing of that, because it's quite a mix, that, even though I would say that's diluted. Now, this coolant here is very good. In fact, I'm actually going to show you some new OAT coolant, because that doesn't look bad at all. Right, have a look at that. Have a look at that. I would say that that isn't bad at all. In fact, there was actually very little in terms of remnants of oil, which is a really good sign that I managed to do such a good thorough job in the first place. So if you look at this, and then look at this, it's fractionally darker. That's it, fractionally darker, and that will be possibly the oil and contaminants it's actually cleaned and picked up. And there'll be some speed flush in this, which is why it's so important to flush the car as much as possible. Now, I've got this under tray off, I've got that bottle that I want to get rid of, but unfortunately this is usually fixing and tinkering, and I like to keep things realistic and real. And I would just like to say one thing: where's my parcel? I was expecting my bottle today, and you failed, Royal Mail, bitterly. You bad people. So I am going to cut back. I'm going to dry all this up, get rid of, dispose of this responsibly, and I'm going to cut back to the next day, hopefully when I have received it, or whenever I've received it. So see you then. Just before I go, come on. Yes. Oh, it's always satisfying. Now, I've got to get this Jubilee clip on. Oh well, I'll leave it for tomorrow.